waiting in Laodicea. Today's episode is taken from Revelation chapter 12.
Revelation 12 starting in verse 13. Reading from the New King James Version. The woman persecuted. Now when the dragon saw that he had been cast to the earth, he persecuted the woman who gave birth to the male child. But the woman was given 2 wings of a great eagle, that she might fly into the wilderness to her place, where she is nourished for a time and times and half a time, from the presence of the serpent. So the serpent spewed water out of his mouth like a flood after the woman, that he might cause her to be carried away by the flood. But the earth helped the woman, and the earth opened its mouth and swallowed up the flood which the dragon had spewed out of his mouth. And the dragon was enraged with the woman, and he went to make war with the rest of her offspring, who keep the commandments of God and have the testimony of Jesus Christ.
All right, now this little section, starting in 13, ending in 17, excuse me, 4 or 5 verses, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 verses, is about. Now, my Bible lists this as the Jewish remnant assaulted by Satan. And what you heard on read to you, it listed as the woman persecuted by Satan. Same thing. Regardless of what you call this chapter, this section, what it is about is the people that are being persecuted by Satan. And this includes Christians. So let's take a look. And when the dragon saw the woman that he had been cast to the earth, he persecuted the woman who gave birth to the male child. Now remember, the woman was Israel. What this says is, okay, the dragon now realized, having been kicked to earth and he can't go back and forth, he's lost some of his freedom, is mad. Satan is furious. And he goes out and he goes to attack the woman, to attack Israel. But the woman was given great wings so that she can fly into the wilderness to her place where she is nourished for time and half a time, or 3.5 years, from the presence of the serpent. So the serpent spewed water out of his mouth like a flood after the woman, that he might cause her to be carried away by the flood. But the earth helped the woman. The earth opened its mouth, swallowed up the flood which the dragon had spewed out of its mouth. And the dragon was enraged with the woman, and he went to make war with the rest of her offspring, who kept the commandments of God and have the testimony of Jesus Christ. Now this creates a very special subclass of Israel. This is those that actually believe in Christ. The others are not protected. The Jewish people, many of them are subject to the wrong side here. They're going to be attacked. Satan is going to use this time frame to go after the believers. Now again, I believe most of this is occurring during the first 3.5 years. Is Satan thrown to earth during that time frame? I'm not positive. But we do see that, as we will see in the next episode, that when Satan comes down to earth, he starts setting up power. Now, I believe part of this is pre-setup. He has already started the setup. I believe that beginnings you can look around yourself today and see Satan is already setting up his kingdom. We see in our society, day in and day out, a growth towards evil. And there's no other way to discuss it. Pure evil. I mean, I remember reading recently that one of the governors vetoed a bill that prevented children from being mutilated in an effort to conform to their perceived, or their parents' perceived, view of their gender. Now, the irony in this is the whole world condemns the idea of female genital mutilation. That is the idea that is prevalent in several Mideastern and Islamic cultures, that it is okay to go out and cut out parts of young girls so that they do not enjoy sex. They go through and they cut out the clitoris, and as most of the world looks at this barbaric action and says this is horrid, this is barbaric, and yet some of those same people that will condemn the Muslims for doing this are all for cutting off a little boy's penis. I know this is kind of graphic discussion, but I wanted you to see the level of depravity that is becoming prevalent. That is becoming, I mean, it's large enough that you have people actually trying to make a law to stop this. And this law, the governor vetoed. Now, as I understand it, the state overrode the governor's veto, which to me, I'm sitting back saying, no kidding. How anybody could justify the idea of mutilating or flooding a child's body with drugs to alter their chemistry is just horrid. The fact that a law needed to even be passed on this is, frankly, in my opinion, barbaric. It shows you how bad our times are becoming. Between that and the people that are celebrating a young boy dancing in male gay clubs and calling it as being called activism is just, we're definitely on the wrong trend here. And this trend happens because humans like you and me either A, don't say anything, or B, actively encourage the evil. Satan has been prepping for the end of times for all of time. Since the very first day that he was in the garden, tempting Eve to eat of the fruit, till now. He's been trying to lay the basis and the framework for a kingdom where he will rule. And why is he doing this? I'm not positive. I mean, he knows the answers. He knows what's going to happen. He has to. It's written. He's read our Bible. He knows our Bible better than any of us do. But yet, he's still making plans to undermine and overthrow the Lord. That's what you call a broken record. But this broken record has been prepping. And he's getting ready. Now, the question is, are you getting ready? Now, the Lord, he doesn't have to get ready. He's always ready. The angels are always ready. They didn't have to do a major buildup of power and bring in supplies and everything else. They're ready at all times. It's we as humans that need to bring up the supplies, get the logistics straight, so that we can battle. The question is, are you ready? If the end of times is going to happen tomorrow, are you prepared? I know there are many of you that are going to sit back and go, but we'll be raptured. Well, as I've discussed many times, maybe you will be, maybe you won't. Maybe the rapture doesn't happen until the middle. Maybe the rapture doesn't happen till the end. I don't know. And I personally don't want to live my life purely on the hope that this is going to happen when I think it should happen. One of the things that I have clearly learned in my life is my plans are not God's plans. Quite often I sit and I make plans and I figure out how I think things should work. They don't work that way. One of the first things that we as Christians have to learn is it's not our plans that matter, it's God's. We have to trust in the Lord and lean on Him and let Him lead, not us try to lead Him where we want to go. So, are you prepared? Have you been... there's two ways of preparing. You've got to prepare yourself spiritually, meaning that you are on fire for the Lord and ready to follow His lead wherever He takes you. And then, of course, as I've been talking about here in Waiting in Laodicea, are you prepared physically? Do you have the plans in place of what to do, where to go, what to take, what do you need? Do you have the supplies ready? Do you have your logistics ready for this war? If your answer is, well, no, are you working towards it? Remember, the time frame is not too far off. Is it? How soon could it be? Well, sadly, it could be days away. Is it realistic to assume that it's going to happen in the next couple of days? No, not realistic. Next couple of years, a little more realistic. Next decade, without a doubt, easily happen within the next decade. The precursors and the steps that are necessary to start the end of times, there's not many left. Now, in a later episode, we'll be going back through what do we need to see happen in order for this to all begin. But for right now, content yourself with the knowledge you have a little bit of time, not forever. It's time to start preparing. It's time for us as the remnant, those followers of Christ, the rest of her offspring who keep the commandments of God and have the testimony of Jesus Christ, to prepare. The persecution will begin. Are you ready? Are you ready for when your neighbors turn you in for worshiping Christ? Are you ready to stand up for your Lord? If your answer is no, then I suggest you do some praying, some reading, and some getting yourself back in line with what God wants you to do. Being prepared. This has been Waiting in Laodicea. I am your host, A.T. Martinez. I hope you've enjoyed today's episode. At least I hope it's got you thinking. I will be back with we will continue in our next episode with chapter 13 of the book of Revelation. And I hope you guys do some thinking, do some reading, cross-check. Remember, I'm only giving you my opinion and what others believe these verses mean. Is it a guarantee that I'm giving you a correct interpretation? No. Am I giving you the best interpretation with the knowledge that I have? Yes. It's up to you to research. It's up to you to compare what is said. Now, keep in mind that as I'm reading these things, I'm not reading you all the scriptural ties that are in there. Let's take a look real quickly. Let's see. Okay, verse 16. Actually, verse 15. So the serpent, in my Bible, it has a C next to it. You look next to it to see, you see Satan. You see 9 through 17, Revelations 20:20, 22, Genesis 3:1, Revelations 20:10, and a note. All of these things are cross-references in the Bible, so you can see what they relate to. Look them up. Study it. Take each and every one of these cross-references, see what they're talking about, so that you are ready. So that you understand. Not just my opinion, but back up what I said. Look up what I've said. Make sure what I've said agrees with your own understanding. And pray to the Lord that He will give you the understanding and the gift of knowing what these things mean. Now, if you read something and you find a different interpretation to something I've said, please share it with me. I'll be glad to hear it. You can reach me at waitinginlaodicea@gmail.com. Please write me, let me know. I will be glad to read it, and maybe we can both learn something. I'm not going to sit here and say I know it all, because I don't. I am human. Now, I pray that each and every one of you enjoy yourselves. I pray that the Lord will bless each and every one of you and all of your families, and that you will all start getting prepared, both spiritually and physically, for what is to come. If you enjoyed this show and enjoyed the message I'm trying to bring, please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, share the video with your friends, get them to like and share the videos also. These videos are found on both YouTube and on BitChute at the moment. Other platforms will open as soon as possible, as I can get around to that. My goal is to have this channel on every platform I possibly can, so that I can reach more and more people and help each and every one of you get prepared. If you'd like to contribute and help this ministry, you may do so through this platform. You can go through the channel information and you can see how you can become a patron. Please, we accept any form of help. You can donate directly through this platform. Or you can go to our website, which is www.waitinginlaodicea.weebly.com, and find different methods to donate there. Or you can email me at, as I said once again, waitinginlaodicea@gmail.com, and ask me how you can help out. Volunteer. Tell me what you're interested in doing, and I will gladly communicate with each and every one of you. Now, if you leave comments below, I do try to read them. I got a notice whenever anybody actually does make a comment,